Bad news! The Disinformation Board is on pause. That means we're going to have more disinformation everywhere. Soon people will be saying that COVID-19 booster shots could be negative for your immune system.
Frequent COVID-19 booster shots could adversely affect the immune system.
Oh, this is so complicated. Get me a Disinformation Board now! Lord and Lady, God created 5.6 million wonders, and here we all are together, trying to understand this world a little better, knowing that there's a deep wisdom within ourselves, and if we can peel away these layers of inculcation, we'll get somewhere truthful fast. If you ain't a subscriber yet, subscribe right now. Why aren't you clicking subscribe? It ain't hard. Go on, do it. Use your fingers. Use your fingers on the screen. Subscribe. Click that notification bell too. Join me all the time. At the end of the video, I'm going to tell you how to sign up for my mailing list, so off-platform we can communicate. We can go a little bit white label. We can get some bootleg gear going. Right, let's have a little chat about disinformation, because disinformation, as you know, was invented by Joe Rogan. Luckily, Joe Biden, he's an old man, came up with a lovely new system, Disinformation Board. He and his friend Corn Pop invented that together. Everything's been a lot better since that singing lady started.
Information laundering is really quite ferocious.
But unfortunately, the Disinformation Board is shit. Let's have a look. After being threatened with legal action, accused of being a violation of the First Amendment and facing mass condemnation, the US Department of Homeland Security's DHS, Disinformation Governance Board, has been paused and its head, Nina Yankovic, has resigned. You can't have a Disinformation Board without Nina.
It's when a huckster takes some lies and makes them sound precocious.
Yankovic told Wall Street Journal reporter Dustin Volz that the future of the Disinformation Governance Board is uncertain, and that she'll be returning to her work in the public sphere. The Disinformation Governance Board's loss is the public sphere's gain.
By saying them in Congress or a mainstream outlet, so
where are we going to get our disinformation from if we ain't even got a Disinformation Governance Board? No, that's meant to stop disinformation. God, this is confusing. Joe Rogan's driving me crazy! The Disinformation Governance Board was announced on April the 27th, and its goal was to fight disinformation. Good. Right, now we know what to do. If you got some disinformation, fight it. That's all it is. There's some disinformation, give it a wallop, we'll be okay. Now, what went wrong? After the announcement, critics quickly highlighted Yankovic's many past comments on free speech, censorship and misinformation. Oh no, it's starting to go wrong quite quickly, isn't it? We're going to have a Disinformation Board and this person's in charge. Well, they're terribly anti-free speech and they've actually propagated some misinformation. Oh shit, this is confusing. Also, it's against the First Amendment. Oh, stop ruining our Misinformation Board. Oh, Joe Rogan! In an interview posted just 2 days before she was named as head of the Disinformation Governance Board, Yankovic commented on Tesla and SpaceX CEO Elon Musk's proposed Twitter acquisition by tweeting, "I shudder to think about if free speech absolutists were taking over more platforms. What would that look like for marginalised communities which are already shouldering disproportionate amounts of this abuse?" Just to let you know my position about these complex issues, I don't think anybody should be abused, really, for any reason, for having a traditional set of values, a progressive set of values, for wanting to identify in ways that are considered uncommon sexually or racially. I don't consider those things to be my particular business. I encourage people to become who they are, not just on the surface of their identity, but deep, deep within themselves. And I love people of all varieties, and I accept you. I accept you whoever you are. What I don't think we should be doing is controlling and regulating free speech in order to protect marginalised communities, in inverted commas, and then find out down the line that what we've just done is accidentally granted the government more power to control dissent. That would be my concern, because I've been watching the government for a little while now, and marginalised communities still seem to be suffering. And dissent seems to be decreasing. And things aren't generally getting better, are they? So if someone's not doing a great job, do you say, why don't you have a bit more of a job? Or do you say, less job? Some of Yankovic's other past comments, including her claiming that free speech versus censorship framing is a false dichotomy, saying verified users like her should be able to edit tweets to provide context, and supporting the UK government setting standards for acceptable speech. The idea of being able to censor or edit other people's tweets, that sounds a bit wacky and a little bit crazy to me, because that's a form of censorship, isn't it? And applauding the UK government for anything at all, telling you as a UK citizen, you won't want to be doing that. The whole way through lockdown, they were having parties the whole time. That's like something, and we're sort of forgetting about it now. It wasn't just the government either. It was the opposition. So whoever you vote for, you're getting someone that during lockdown was having parties. And you start to think, but hold on a minute, weren't we told that it was not safe to have parties? That was the reason for it, weren't it? It wasn't just you like imposing rules and then you will use those rules however you want to. Conspiracy theorist, where's my tinfoil hat? Luckily, I found it had even more ridiculous. Days after the Disinformation Governance Board was announced, a bill was introduced to dissolve it. It had to dissolve itself. I mean, that is Orwellian. Unfortunately, the Disinformation Governance Board is in itself disinformation. Must dissolve self now. 20 states also threatened legal action and described the board as an unacceptable and downright alarming encroachment on every citizen's right to express his or her opinions, engage in political debate, and disagree with the government. But apart from that, do you like it? That one was a bit annoying.
Disinformation's origins are slightly less atrocious.
While criticism of the board was focused on Yankovic's past comments and the potential of the board to chill online speech, Yankovic framed this criticism as mischaracterizations of the board, which became a distraction from the department's vital work after announcing her resignation. Describing it as vital work, it's ridiculous. Are the government doing really, really well at the stuff they're meant to be doing? Or are they, let's face it, getting a little bit distracted by lobbying money, stocks and share stuff that they're trading themselves, various affiliations that prevent them from fulfilling their stated objectives as representatives of the people? Once in a while, you should read your own constitution. Once in a while, you should read the stuff that they say when they open Congress, the Senate or Parliament. Here, for the people, by the people, all of that stuff. And you'll hear that everything's just become a sort of dizzying disarray of cack. It's not real anymore. None of it is real. Setting up more boards for disinformation, we're heading into a kind of bureaucratic stasis. We've been given such a clear vision of what evil looks like. It's terrorists that wear particular clothes and carry their rifles and make particular sounds with their mouths. Or it's communism and it's dry greys and bold reds. Well, tyranny looks like what's happening now. That's what tyranny is. The tyranny of technocracy, of bureaucratic language, of the sort of nimble tiptoe through linguistics that I can't see how that helps anybody. Reducing ordinary people's freedoms, facilitating more and more corporate power, giving more regulatory authority to the government. This is not the pathway we should be walking along together. Some mainstream media outlets have gone even further, with the Washington Post claiming that Yankovic was the victim of coordinated online attacks. Why don't you edit the tweets? And that the Biden administration let right-wing attacks derail its disinformation effort. Also, who gives a shit about disinformation? Sort out getting baby food. Get the baby food sorted and then move on to disinformation. We got two problems. One, babies are starving. Two, people are saying all sorts of crazy stuff that I disagree with on the internet. Well, let's prioritize that. What's that noise? I don't know. Hopefully it's not someone doing some disinformation, though. Although the Disinformation Governance Board's future is uncertain, this board followed several online censorship and surveillance efforts backed by the DHS. Before the board was even announced, the DHS increased its efforts to identify misinformation and conspiracy theories on social media, was accused of mass surveilling money transfers, and branded online misinformation a terrorism threat to the US Homeland. Yeah, they was warming us up, weren't they, for it? They were getting us ready. There were always a lot of misinformation. That's what all that Joe Rogan stuff was. They were getting you and me ready for, there's this thing, misinformation. But they sort of misjudged it, didn't they? Because actually it turns out people really like Joe Rogan, and generally speaking, even if you don't like Joe Rogan, people like hearing diverse opinions. It's so curious and hypocritical and empty and shallow, because if what you're saying you're interested in is diversity and helping people of all descriptions and religions and races, I mean, and that's a project I'm really, really on board with. You can't achieve that without open communication. You can't force people down that. You can't go, look, get down there into freedom. Freedom doesn't feel like that. Freedom is messy. People bang each other in the ribs by mistake with their elbows, tread on each other's toes, misspeak, mispronounce, missay stuff all the time. But misinformation and misinformation boards are not the solution to that problem. Open communication, trust, faith, meaningful community, jobs that mean something to you, relationships that mean something to you. When people feel a little more fulfilled and connected, we might communicate with one another a little better. The fact is, the objective of not hurting one another is a beautiful objective, because why would we hurt each other if we could avoid it? But I simply do not trust that that has ever been an objective of the United States government. It doesn't make sense when you look at the behaviour. But that's just what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you don't subscribe yet. We need every single one of you to subscribe. Turn on the notification bell. If you enjoyed this video, have a look at either of these two little guys and join my mailing list. Sign up right now. I do a bulletin every single week. I tell you about all the projects that I'm doing. Don't speak to the bots below. And most importantly of all, please stay free.